Charleston White absolutely destroyed Wack 100 after Wack bashed Young Thug, who was supposed to be his own friend, for being a snitch. And in doing so, Charleston exposed the hypocrisy of the streets, reminding everyone that even brothers who swear loyalty will turn their backs when the pressure rises. A raw truth that has shaken hip-hop's foundation and ignited a firestorm debate about loyalty, betrayal, toxic culture, and street culture. Now, let's go deep into how Charleston dismantled Wack's argument, why this beef matters, and how it reflects a bigger cultural collapse in the streets and rap game alike. The air was already heavy in the hip-hop world when Wack 100 opened his mouth to take aim at Young Thug. Wack, known for his loud opinions and heated clubhouse rants, wasted no time labeling Thug as a snitch, someone who folded under the crushing weight of the YSL indictment. But the thing that set off an inferno wasn't just the insult. It was the fact that Wack 100 claimed to be a friend of Thug. Friendship in the streets is supposed to mean something. It's supposed to be the bond that survives pressure, rumors, indictments, and even years behind bars. But here was Wack, dragging Thug's name through the mud, using him as another piece of content to fuel his image as the ultimate truth teller of the game. Please do not forget to like this video, share, and subscribe to this channel if you want more updates like this. Thank you. Now, let's get back into the video. Charleston White wasn't having it. If there's one man who thrives on calling out the contradictions of the streets, it's Charleston. He thrives on exposing how fake the code of the streets really is, and Wack 100's behavior was a perfect example. Charleston unleashed one of his most fiery tirades yet, ripping Wack apart piece by piece. He didn't just offend Thug, he tore down the entire illusion that Wack was trying to create. To Charleston, this wasn't about Thug being a snitch or not. It was about the blatant hypocrisy of claiming loyalty in public, while throwing your brother under the bus in the same breath. Charleston's words cut deep. The streets are messed up. You boys talk about loyalty, about never turning your back on each other. But look what happens when the feds apply pressure. Even your so-called friends, your day ones, will flip on you just to look strong on the internet. That's why I say the streets is a lie. His delivery wasn't calm. It was passionate, sharp, and dripping with frustration. He made it clear that Wack's attack on Thug was more than gossip. It was a betrayal that symbolized everything wrong with the game today. And Charleston didn't stop there. He put Wack on blast for his long history of questionable loyalty. He reminded the world that Wack has publicly clashed with people he once called brothers. Game, Nipsey Hussle Circle, even Suge Knight at one point. Charleston argued that Wack had built his brand on conflict and betrayal, always turning his back on someone when it served him. To Charleston, Wack was a living embodiment of why the streets are broken. Men claiming codes they don't live by, men preaching loyalty while selling their people out for clout. The reaction was instant. Social media erupted. Clips of Charleston's rant flooded Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Fans and critics alike couldn't help but weigh in. Some sided with Wack, saying he was only telling the truth about Thug's case. But the majority recognized the power in Charleston's words. They saw the raw honesty in his claim that the streets, as they exist today, are no longer built on loyalty, respect, or integrity. They're built on performance, clout, and survival. And in this moment, Charleston White wasn't just attacking Wack 100. He was ripping open the wounds of the entire culture. To really understand why this clash hit so hard, you have to zoom out and look at the context. Young Thug has been fighting for his freedom in one of the most high-profile RICO cases in modern rap history. His trial isn't just about him. It's about the culture, about whether hip-hop lyrics can be used in court, about whether the system is targeting rappers in ways it never has before. For someone like Wack 100, who has been around the industry for decades, to take that moment and pile on his so-called friend was devastating to watch. It wasn't just Wack speaking. It was a reflection of how the streets have lost their backbone. And Charleston White, who has made a career out of exposing these contradictions, knew he had to say something. Charleston argued that the word snitch itself has been twisted. Back in the day, a snitch was someone who lived a life, benefited from the code, and then told on his people to save himself. But Charleston reminded everyone that today, the label is thrown around recklessly. People are calling Thug a snitch without even understanding the details of his case. To Charleston, it was cowardly for Wack to join that chorus, especially given their supposed friendship. How you gonna call yourself a man? How you gonna call yourself loyal and then spit on your brother when he's down? Charleston asked, "That ain't real. That's cowardly." The brilliance of Charleston White in this moment was that he didn't just defend Thug. He elevated the conversation. He exposed how loyalty is conditional in today's game. Brothers will stand beside you when you're on top, when the bottles are flowing, when the money's coming in. But the second the pressure comes, the second indictments are handed down, the second the image of strength is tested, that's when the masks fall off. That's when you find out who's really with you. And in this case, Wack proved Charleston's point. The more Charleston spoke, the more people began to question Wack's credibility. Was Wack really speaking truth, or was he simply playing to the audience, trying to stay relevant by inserting himself into every conversation? Charleston made it clear that Wack's game is clout, not loyalty. He doesn't stand for anything but the spotlight. And in Charleston's view, that's exactly why the streets are crumbling. Now, let's take this even deeper. Charleston's destruction of Wack 100 goes beyond two men arguing. It speaks to the larger sickness in the culture. The streets were once romanticized as a place of codes and values, where loyalty and brotherhood reigned supreme. But as Charleston pointed out, that illusion has been shattered. In today's world, the streets don't reward loyalty, they punish it. The streets don't protect integrity, they laugh at it. And every time someone like Wack 100 throws his brother under the bus, it becomes clearer that the streets are nothing more than a cycle of betrayal. This is why Charleston resonates with so many people despite his own controversies. He says out loud what others are too afraid to admit. He forces people to confront uncomfortable truths, and in this case, he forced hip-hop to admit that Wack 100's words about Thug were a betrayal that reflected a bigger cultural problem. People don't want to admit it, but Charleston was right. The streets are messed up and loyalty is dead. In the aftermath, fans of Thug rallied around Charleston's words. They saw him as one of the few people willing to publicly defend Thug, while everyone else turned their backs. Wack, on the other hand, doubled down, claiming he was only keeping it real. But his words rang hollow because realness without loyalty is just noise. Charleston's takedown of Wack wasn't just powerful, it was final.